Welcome to the Steve Reeve Podcast with the best moments from the past week and a few things that didn't make it to air. Monday.
So I need to know. Everybody seems to be wanting to be the first person to acknowledge a team's win streak after the Oilers started the year with a near record-breaking one. You know, they got way up there, and there was chances, however remote they were, that they could have actually set that record. Didn't quite happen, though. Very close, still very cool. But I've noticed, and I'm not saying you can't casually call a streak of wins a win streak, but it feels like we're getting it far more often suddenly. They're really getting started with a 4-game win streak, or, ouch, that loss ends a 3-game win streak tonight. It's all about perspective, I think. A little bit of perspective. 2 is not really a streak to begin with, and 3 in a row counts, but isn't a rare occurrence by any stretch. I feel like it's the Holy Grail, Monty Python style, and I've got the holy hand grenade of Antioch. 3 is the right number. No, it's more like, just wait for, 10. The 10 count. It's an ice game. I feel like maybe we could just chill out about it. The inventor of karaoke, the person who originally made a machine that was the precursor to the karaoke machine in 1967, passed away earlier this year, Shigechi Nagishi. And, it's hard to quantify exactly how much karaoke has been done since then. I mean, just in Japan alone, in the originating nation, 8,000 karaoke bars exist right now. 8,000, never mind the entire world. And it has been a staple of pop culture as well since it became popular. Not just in our lives, but in the lives we watch on TV and in movies. Driving endless scenes and montages and, even really touching and poignant moments of vulnerability and emotion. Like that scene in The Cable Guy with Jim Carrey.
You might recognize this song as performed by Jefferson Airplane in a little rockumentary called Give Me Shelter about the Rolling Stones and their nightmare at Altamont. That night, the Oakland chapter of the Hells Angels had their way. Tonight, it's my turn. 1, 2, 3!
When the truth is found to be light and all
For my money, one of the all-time best Jim Carrey performances ever. And wouldn't exist without karaoke, I'm just saying.
You're listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruz FM.
Starting off with Madonna, you may have heard about a very, very awkward moment at one of her recent performances. She's doing a big 40-year anniversary tour and celebrating all of the moments, all of the hits, all the costumes. And at the Kia Forum in Los Angeles not too long ago, unfortunately, there was a bit of a snafu. She was about to introduce a song, but saw somebody in the front row who seemed to be refusing to stand and said, "What are you doing down there? What are you doing sitting down?" And then realizing, no, this was a fan who was attending in a wheelchair and was paralyzed, to which she apologized right away. And a lot of people pointing at it saying, oh, this is the moment that Madonna's going to remember years from now. It's waking up in a cold sweat. Not so much, especially because the person in the wheelchair, the fan herself, has taken the internet to actually give some comment. Vanessa Gorman is her name. She said, some people are in wheelchairs and can't stand. Madonna had no idea I was paralyzed, and she said Madonna apologized. She went on to enjoy the rest of the performance. Perfectly fine. Where are the places that inflation and shrinkflation intersect most strongly? Of course, there's a little bit of that here and there, everywhere. Everything is expensive. Everything seems smaller than it used to be. But where do they, intersect the most? An order of fries from an arena concession, absolutely on that list. It went viral. $7.99 Canadian at Rogers Arena in Vancouver. The photo went viral online this weekend thanks to the basket only containing so many fries. So they were tasty-looking fries. They looked good. I'll admit, photo makes me want to go, crunch, but only 12 of them are in the basket. That's it. I counted them. Where else have you found an egregious display of both inflation and shrinkflation at the same time?
Tuesday.
Where the heck is Kate Middleton? Is she here? Is she there? Is she everywhere? It sounds like a Dr. Seuss book. Conspiracy train just left the station, full speed ahead, choo-choo, And people have been getting a little bit weird with their theories. But of course, not really helping with that was the photoshopped image that got rejected by a bunch of media agencies, like basically global news wires, who said, we can't use anything that's obviously been doctored, and we found evidence this is doctored, which makes people go, why is it doctored? Well, it's a photo of a mom and her kids. Maybe they just wanted it to look good. I don't know. But they've since, and by they I mean like Kate herself, as well as perhaps the royal family as an entity, have been trying to pepper out the evidence crumbs. And I guess she was at a market just recently. First, there was no photos, but sightings. And now there are some photos, but people are saying, wait, okay, that's not her. That's definitely a fake. They've got a plant. They've got a stand-in, a body double. And I don't know. Is she here? Is she here in the room right now? Is she down there in the park? Can I see her? Getting coffee right now? Wearing work coveralls with a beard and a hard hat? No, okay, that's not her. That must be somebody else. Deep Purple going to be on tour, unfortunately, nowhere near us. UK tour, along with Reeve supporting. They'll have a whole list of shows towards the end of the year, including they'll be at the O2 Arena in London. Very, very big, famous venue. But Deep Purple are doing it one more time. That's the name of the tour. If you just so happen to have some travel plans, take a look at some tickets. They finally put out the details today. Speaking of the UK, the Spice Girls might just be fully reuniting this year. They have not said anything officially, but they did say that they're definitely planning something for 2024. And while it does seem like they have reunited a lot lately, it hasn't been the full complement of all 5 people. Again, unconfirmed, but Mel B did say in response to questions about what those plans might be, you don't know that we're not doing Glastonbury. Very possible they'll be headlining the festival, maybe even as a surprise act. And sadly, Bon Jovi, he's got good news because he's got new music out. The new album, Forever, is the first release in 4 years from the band, but also the first since a vocal surgery for John Bon Jovi. And he talks about in a recent interview about the dark misery that he felt before being able to make this album. It's a very, very hard thing to face when the very thing that is your calling card and your source of art to put into the world is in jeopardy. Somebody decided to spread ashes, somebody's remains, onto the Rise of the Resistance ride at Disneyland, and it was a disaster, as I'm sure you can imagine. There's a photo that has been shared of, so it's a trackless ride. It's one of the newfangled ones that uses like a buggy cart that is kind of autonomous, but it only goes where it's programmed to. So nobody can really like drive the thing, but it also doesn't have tracks. So it's just a flat floor that it exists on, and they've got these like big roller wheels underneath. So it spread those ashes kind of everywhere. And this is a common thing, to the point where it's actually a written rule. It's policy. You're not allowed to spread ashes at a Disney theme park whatsoever. The cast members that are walking around in character, they're going to tell you not to do that. So many people still just do. Haunted Mansion is a major place where people do it. I guess now Rise of the Resistance is a target. Thing is, though, is it really that respectful as a memorial to the people that you're trying to memorialize, to immortalize? Not really, because what happens is they just sweep it up or mop it up and throw it out. They clean it, just like the litter at Disneyland, okay? Not a good plan. And all that I can think of is that scene in The Big Lebowski, you know, when they're trying to put Donnie's ashes into the Pacific, and then the wind kicks up and it just ends up all over the dude anyway.
In accordance with what we think your dying wishes might well have been, we commit your final mortal remains to the bosom of the Pacific Ocean, which you loved so well. Good night, sweet prince.
As he takes the lid off of a tin of Folgers coffee. It's one of the best scenes ever. And just think about the work that you're causing that has to be done now. Would you think about the little alien puppets and RC car droids that have to clean that up now? I mean, kind of selfish.
Wednesday.
I just want to put things into perspective for you. I just want to make sure that you have the perspective on what's going on with the weather and the seasons. It may be spring now, officially entering into our lives at 9:06 p.m. last night. Not that you really need the specifics. Today's first day of spring fully, but we know that that's the scientific seasons. The scientific seasons don't really take into account the actual reality of what we're experiencing, and in reality, we have only just begun the third winter. Now, the good news is that the winters get shorter as they go. First one's real long, second one, medium, and then this one doesn't take too long. We'll be through it before too much time. But in order, it's winter, full spring, second winter, and then the spring of deception. What follows, then, is the pollinating after this third winter, and then actual spring. And I didn't make this up. I don't make the rules. I just follow them. It's been accurate every single year. Just, give or take a few days on each one of those non-scientific, but actually very real seasons. We got to get through a bunch of music news headlines, so rapid fire. The ashes of Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead fame are going to be enshrined in a few different locations around the world. In Europe, there's two main locations, Nottingham, as well as at the site of the Bloodstock Music Festival in Derbyshire. And those are through working with the Bloodstock Festival to create a space where this will be available at the festival itself, but then also year-round available for people to, pay tribute to and visit. And as well as in Los Angeles next month, there's going to be a ceremony on the 19th of April to unveil the enshrining of the ashes, a portion of them at least, is his last living remains, as well as a rededication of the Lemmy's Lounge bar and grill patio, which was so dubbed in 2016 after he passed away in 2015. Oasis, 30 years after their very first single was put out, they are going to be releasing it again as a physical release. Supersonic is going to be put out again on a 7-inch vinyl on April 12th of this year, which is just in time for Record Store Day that weekend. Bruce Springsteen, after taking months off due to health issues, specifically peptic ulcer disease last year, has re-kicked off a world tour in Arizona as of last night, and a ton of fan footage shows he was in fine form with the E Street Band. Sum 41's frontman Derek Whibley announced a memoir called Walking Disaster, My Life Through Heaven and Hell, which fans will notice is similar in title to the name of the tour that's going to be kicking off at the end of this month, March 29th, Heaven X Hell. The book itself, though, many months after that, actually available October 8th. After nearly all of Season 1 was filmed throughout Alberta, there's going to be a change. When Season 2 was announced, they said, well, we're going to be moving locations. Not only with the characters on screen, but so too do you change locations for where you shoot those characters. So the news came that Season 2 would be mostly filming in BC, and Alberta went, well, okay, yeah, I guess. It's pretty over there too. But we're real pretty here in Alberta. But Gabriel Luna, the star of the show, he's Tommy, brother to Joel, and also just a really, really fun actor in a bunch of other projects. He says that he is in Alberta for Season 2. That is the specific reason. After spending so long in Alberta last time, he's become a big fan of the Calgary Flames, and he was in the stands in a jersey that said Luna this very week, giving all the details. Well, the few details that he can give. Not sure exactly what they're shooting, but it does sound like it's only for a few days. Now we know, and now we wait for, I'm guessing, a very long time.
Thursday.
Apparently, Facebook has gone back to the dark ages. The poke is back. Apparently, it never really actually left. It never went away. You could always, somewhere deep within all the different menu options, choose to poke somebody. So they didn't technically bring it back, but someone did, because the rate of poke has skyrocketed on the platform in the last couple of weeks, apparently. But why? And why was it ever a thing in the first place is my real question. Nope, nobody likes getting poked. Mind out of the gutter. Nobody likes getting poked. It is an unwelcome gesture. At least, it certainly is unwelcome as like a way to get someone's attention when they're distracted by something else. I mean, in most cases, just use your words. Probably the best option. Then you can revert to the poke. Sharon Osbourne is in the news talking about her relationship with Ozzy once again. She just did an interview with The Mirror and spoke about their relationship and the roller coaster that it's been through the many, many years. She says that they did try marriage counseling once, but it lasted only about 30 minutes. And she went on to say, no matter how much bad behavior or who's wrong or right in a certain situation, I love him. He's the only man other than my dad that I've ever loved. I just adore him. And I knew what he was before I married him. Apparently Prince of Darkness would be the answer to that. The soundtrack for the Amy Winehouse biopic Back to Black has been revealed, including a bunch of tracks from people like the Libertines, Billie Holiday, Tony Bennett, some absolute classics, including a new song, an original one by Nick Cave as well. That's going to be released in cinemas on April 12th, and the actual soundtrack itself a little bit later on, May 17th. The Eagles may be in Las Vegas to roost. The absolute legendary rock band has been doing their farewell tour. They've got a lot of different acts venues that have hosted them. But there's speculation that the Sphere in Las Vegas might be their next home for a little while. Reports shared by the New York Post saying that it could be happening with a 10-week residency later this year. But of course, no official news just yet.
Hey Alexa, play the Steve Reeve podcast.
Are we the happiest country in the world? Apparently not. The World Happiness Report was released this week, just yesterday in fact, and we are down a couple spots, actually, from last year. Number 1 for 7 years in a row, Finland. Way to rub it in, Finland. Come on now. Stay humble about it. Stay humble. But we were 13th. I guess now we are 15th. And for the first time in the 12-year history of this survey being put out every single year, the U.S. is out of the top 20 into the 23rd place. That is a drop of 15 places. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy to me. But Canada in the 15th spot, I mean, they say that second place tries harder than first. Well, 15th tries harder than all of them. Don't we? Don't we? Okay, we're pretty happy overall, but we could definitely use a boost now and then. It's those cold winters. Need the vitamin D. Joining me in the studio right here for a very special reason, because there's a big couple of events actually this weekend to help out with the Swamp Rat Experience group. It's Hannah with Swamp Rat Experience. Hi, how you doing?
Good morning, Steve. I'm doing great, even though it's early in the morning. I haven't had my second cup of coffee yet.
Not yet. It's on the way. You'll need coffee, as you guys are, I'm sure, getting ready with so many different things happening. A lot of spinning plates for the fundraiser. So twofold. There's Alice in Theaterland as well as the Mad Hatter's Ball. Swamp Rat Experience, a theater company in town. This is for your operations, your ability to keep doing theater. So how does this work? What are these events all about?
So we're super excited. First off, we are a nonprofit in town, an independent theater company. We do a lot of free and cheap and affordable programming. So this fundraiser is a 2-part fundraiser. Bringing you into the whimsical world of Wonderland. It's at the Legion this Saturday. Alice in Theaterland is our family-friendly event. It features a lot of super fun family activities. We have hedgehog croquet, which is my personal favorite. No live hedgehogs were harmed.
First question I was going to ask. They get stuck to the mallet. It's not good.
Right. No, they're small and squishy. We have Make Your Mad Hat stations. We have tea party with the Mad Hatter. It's a whole thing. It's going to be fantastic. And then in the evening, when the kiddos have gone home, it's time for the adults to come out to play, and we have the Mad Hatter's Ball.
I love it, yeah. And same spot, same location, same decorations on the walls. And we were talking about this just before we even put the mics on. We're not talking like Glasgow Wonka experience. We're talking an actual experience, fully decorated and transformative and transportational experience, right?
Very immersive. Blow Up Your Birthday is our presenting sponsor, and they are pulling out all the stops for this. I've been given a tour, and it's going to be amazing. The Mad Hatter's Ball, we have the 360 photo booth. There's a champagne wall. This had my jaw on the floor, and I was actually speechless for a solid few, I don't want to exaggerate here, but maybe 10 seconds where I didn't know what to say because I was quite blown away by Blow Up Your Birthday.
Yeah, not surprised in the least to hear that they've decked out the entire Legion space for this event, this pair of events, really. How do people get tickets and get involved?
You can get tickets at swampratexperience.com. It's through Eventbrite, but you'll find it quite easily on our Facebook page or anywhere online, really. Swamp Rat Experience, the Mad Hatter's Ball, Alice in Theaterland. And we're actually doing a giveaway for Alice in Theaterland right now. Those tickets are almost sold out.
Okay, yeah. Family events in this town of late, last couple of years, people are just dying to get into them and attend and stuff. So the rule of thumb, act fast.
Act fast.
Act fast.
And we're also looking for volunteers still for Theaterland to help with all these wonderful activities and make sure that everybody has a good time.
So 11 until 2 for the daytime Alice in Theaterland, and then 8 o'clock in the evening, so starts the Mad Hatter's Ball with somewhat fewer children.
Less children. There will be drinks, there will be food, there will be live performances, surprise performances. The Mad Hatter is hosting, and there's a costume parade as well with prizes.
Dancing into the night. Saturday, only days away, so act fast to get those tickets. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Friday.
We're a week away from Good Friday and the Easter long weekend. Enjoy it. Enjoy the time if you've got it. And Easter chocolate is on a whole different level from when I was a kid, it feels like. Now the molded chocolate, it comes in any shape you can think of, any character, any licensed pop culture figure, any animal, or any dinosaur that you can think of. And it's not a section anymore. It's practically the entire aisle. It's not entirely foreign to me. It's not a completely different experience. I mean, I get it. Many things are the same. I remember the Cadbury cream eggs, of course, the Kinder Surprises, anything that was egg-shaped. Really hits its stride around Easter. But the basic bunnies, you'd think you'd hit the absolute jackpot when you got a solid bunny instead of the usual hollow boy. But if we're being honest, even as a kid, you could kind of tell that you didn't really care. The chocolate was never really that great in those, and that goes for the foil-wrapped eggs, too. But that's not the point, is it? The thrill is in the hunt. Mark Knopfler and the new single that's been released. It's a re-recording of the 1983 solo single that he put out called Going Home. And a ton of collaborators were on the track. It's a charity release for the Teenage Cancer Trust and Teen Cancer America, so both in the UK and in the US. It's already charting quite well in the UK specifically, on course to hit number 1 within a week or two, and huge charity track, so many people on it. Brian May, Bruce Springsteen, Ronnie Wood, the late Jeff Beck even featured in the track. Somehow it's really crazy. This really big undertaking now also has the music video released as well. Kind of more of a visualization than anything, but the group called Mark Knopfler's Guitar Heroes, which, I mean, that just sounds fun. That just sounds cool. Speaking of video games, although more adjacent to video games, fans have been deciding that a great idea to spend their time would be to create album covers, or rather recreate album covers, but using PS1, PlayStation 1 style graphics. A lot of different artists, including Lana Del Rey and Lady Gaga, have had the treatment, and more are to come. It's actually kind of amazing. I want to play some of these games. I'm not sure that we need a custom popcorn bucket for every new movie now. Clearly part of the push to get folks to exit the living room and go to the theater. And going to the theater is something myself and so many others already love to do. But for those of us who, might need a little more incentive or what have you, I'm just not sure this is it. Unless you have a dedicated cupboard just for all of these branded buckets at home and you actually pull them out when it's like group movie time, families all together at last, maybe some friends are over, you're putting a movie on, you get to get all the weird ones out. That's fun, I guess, but you need space for it. And I, in my apartment, don't have it. The Dune one, the Dune popcorn bucket, that is popular for a very specific reason, and a very specifically gross reason. And I shudder to think that people are looking at the new Slimer bucket, where his gaping maw holds the popcorn, and thinking similar things. All right?
Transmission over. Want more Steve? New podcast episodes happen every Friday, or just tune into the Steve Reeve Show. Weekday mornings starting at 5:30 a.m. on 100.5 Cruz FM.